Welcome. We are live and it is May
Yes,
2025.
absolutely.
Time is flying by, but I kind of feel like that's a good thing. This has been a crazy year already. In just random ways. So we are back. We are live. You're not traveling today. You're at home, right?
I'm at home. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm at home. It's
I
great.
think this will be the last time both of us can say that for a little bit, but
Yes. Yes.
we'll
Yeah.
take it for today. So my name
Yes.
is Tricia Broderick.
I'm Diana Larson.
And we co-wrote Lead Without Blame. And once a month we get back together. Well, actually, we get back together other times, but live we get back together once a month to just talk about another topic, do a little 15-minute or less kind of video in terms of just either going deeper into a topic than we had in the book, or a related topic, or one that we wish we could have fit into the book, but we had
Yeah.
only so much to put in, or whatever kind of comes to our mind, or what people request and highlight. So
Yeah.
this month we were thinking about, just as I'm watching it be gray and rainy out my side, and
Oh,
yesterday
wow.
it was like beautiful and like almost 80, and it is just the changes in the seasons, the climate, the temperatures, and the change that just
Yeah.
constantly happens. And in some places you get the 4 seasons. In Colorado, I feel like we have 20 seasons. Like it changes in a 24-hour period of time. But it made us kind of
Yeah.
start thinking about just how do you spot opportunities to change? Like when do you know it's a change is there? When do you know it's a good change? When do you know you should change, right? And I
Right.
got us kind of thinking about a little bit of along those lines, and wanting to kind of dig into this element of the topic, because
Yeah.
it's not sometimes some of the change is super obvious. Like you don't have a choice. Like I'm dealing with change. My kid's graduating, right? Like
Yeah.
it's change. Change is coming. We know it, right?
Right.
But sometimes it's not so obvious or things. So what are some signs or things that you look for that might show that there's some opportunity for change? Good, bad, indifferent, right? But there's what are
Yeah.
some signs that you look for, you notice when you're ready or need a change?
I have kind of an unsettled feeling.
Mhm.
And it depending on the kind of change it is, it might be more or less unsettling. But I mean, like even just this morning, signing on here, I realized that I'm wearing this turquoise jewelry, right? Well, I have a green screen, and when I have the green screen on, turquoise turns whatever the background color is, right? And so I
I mean, it
was,
was pretty jewelry that color too.
yeah, yeah. I all of a sudden realized now I'm wearing orange jewelry. And so I turn off the green screen, and now I've got a glow around my head. So I have to make a choice. And that's what it feels like inside of me.
Mm.
I need to make a choice. It may be a more or less comfortable choice. This one, I decided to leave the green screen off. But change. Well, and I don't know if I had these last month, but
I think you
I
did. I
think I
think
had
we
just gotten them. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think I
think it
had
was
just
brand
gotten.
new.
Yeah, sometimes change comes at you pretty fast, and you don't know that it's coming. But I have that sense inside of me that it's like I'm gonna have to make an adjustment here, and it might be a really big, kind of fraught and daunting adjustment, or it may be a simpler one. I just have to respond in the moment to changing conditions. And and I'm kind of lucky. I did a talk a few years ago about people and encountering change, and I talked about that I have this imagery for myself that we all have inside of us a change bucket. And I am fortunate enough, and it's why I'm in the work I'm in, that I have a pretty big change bucket. I can accommodate quite a bit of change before I hit oh, no, 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 no more. I just can't do it I can't. No, you got to, no, no, we can't change our meeting next week. I just cannot adapt to any more changes right now. And that's happened to me in my life. My change bucket just got full, right? Even though it's a pretty big one. Other folks have smaller change buckets. They can't accommodate as much change as maybe I could, or you could, Tricia, or other folks. But it doesn't really matter. We all can get to the limit. All can get to the place where our change bucket is just overflowing. We cannot put any more change in it. And so that's kind of what I look for. It's like, yeah, I can accommodate this. Yeah, I can adjust to that, this thing that's changing and that thing that's changing. And sometimes if I go for a long time and nothing has changed, I'll start stirring the pot. I will
Well, I
start
think that's the
making
word.
change happen. But it is that feeling of I'm going to need to make a choice here, and it's kind of an uncomfortable in my gut kind of feeling. I think it comes from mm, my change bucket going, wait a minute, you're getting close to the edge here or something. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because well, it's not funny, I guess, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking of you because there is very much a comfort or discomfort. Like
Yeah.
clearly there's an opportunity for change, but you used a word that I actually will use as well to look for change is that settle. Like when I think I'm just going through the motions, when I am not passionate or energized or interested,
Mm.
like I just feel blah, like
Yeah.
and and not that there's anything uncomfortable or discomfortable, like it's just that it's too, it's not even that it's too easy, it just feels like
Yeah.
automatic, it
Right.
feels robotic, it feels, and I know when I'm in that place, I'm not learning, I'm not challenging myself, I'm probably playing it safe even though I don't think of it as comfortable, it's
Yeah.
just it is.
Yeah.
And that's usually a sign for me when I am settling that I, if my bucket is not full, right, then I am
Mm.
doing it at a cost to myself, and there's probably some opportunities that I need to be looking for and seeing because
Right.
I'm primed for them or ready for them or need them. Like I think
Right.
that's part of it is like I need it because
Right.
that's part of what gets
Right.
me
Right.
motivated and
Yeah.
engaged in different ways
Yeah.
with that. And so the settle word really stuck out to me because that's another one for me. It's not just when
Yeah.
I'm in that spot of comfortable or discomfortable, but
Yeah.
when I'm not having any of that, I'm like, oh, and I have it, and it's not instantly.
Yeah.
It usually takes a little bit of time, but it's like, oh,
Right.
what would that look like? And I'm ready. Like, what do I want to try and do next? Like, what
Yeah.
challenge am I ready for?
Yeah.
Which then opens up those doors for those
Well,
opportunities.
yeah. Well, and what you're describing, and I guess what I described without really thinking about it was ha- another of the ways in which we need to cultivate, both as leaders and as humans and as colleagues, and as family, uh, self-awareness. How do we notice? I mean, what kind are we doing mindfulness? Are we doing something else? But how do we notice when that sense inside of us is either saying, hey, you better look for something to change, or ooh, you're in a change and you're not really recognizing it, and you need to like notice what's going on right now. Um and we talked about a little bit about all the issues around sustainability and climate change and all those kinds of things. And you know, there are things in that I'm finding it's like, okay, yeah, okay, I can help the climate in this way, or I can do that thing, or I don't need plastic bags at the grocery store. I can get along. I can buy a bag and take it with me, and it's not that big a deal. But there are other things that are really daunting. Like I am used to being able to travel a lot with my work. And now, when I travel, especially long distances, going to Europe or whatever, I have to stop and think, what is it, what choices am I making here? And so, like, I've got this 2-month trip coming up to Europe for in June and July. I'm going to be at a bunch of different conferences. I'll mention them at the end. But, um, I'm trying to keep that in mind, that the sustainability and climate change and those kinds of things in mind. I decided I'm not going to like fly over and fly back for the first conference and then fly over and fly back for the next conference and so on. I'm going at the very end of May, and I'm coming back right before the Agile conference in June.
July.
Yeah, sorry, in July. And in the meantime, I will be looking for more sustainable transportation options while I'm in Europe. And I'm just going to stay. And I'll have to figure, some of it is already figured out. I know where I'm going to be for some of the time, but I don't know where I'm going to be for all of the time. But I know that I am going to have choices to make, and I'm going to probably have to change my plans once or twice along the way. That's kind of comes with the territory. But last year I did what I called my adaptive planning experiment, and so that went well, and so I'm feeling more confident about doing it this year. But I think that, and I think that's another thing, is noticing when we have successfully managed a change helps build our confidence that we can manage more changes as they come toward us in the future. But
That made me think of kind of your adaptive planning is another way that I notice if it's an opportunity to change is when it just has this feeling like all the stars are aligning. Yeah. Like it just feels almost too good to be true. Like even getting like the opportunity to write the book. Like right. It was not a change on my list. It was not a goal I had. But when that opportunity like landed there and it was like, okay, right. This is too good to pass up. Like this is too much of an, like this is this almost like, am I being pranked? Right? Like that feeling of, holy crap, like, is this really happening? A lot of times, like if I have that, even that kind of experience or that reaction, there's an element of, I still don't always take it, but that's usually a sign for me, like this is a good opportunity. And it might, that part of those reactions are the fears or the scare, right? But like also the excitement and the possibility with it. And so whenever I have that, like, it's all just working out and we're figuring out, we're responding to it, we're adapting, whether it's like in our trip on a thing or opportunities as they present. I kind of felt that way the first time, or one of the times that I got asked to be on the program team for the Agile Alliance. I was like, holy cow, like this is this is amazing, right? Like, and again, it wasn't necessarily a goal. It wasn't necessarily something I was looking for. It was going to mean change, but it starts to present as an opportunity when it does have that feeling of like, this just feels magical, like, and like everything's falling into place and it's too good to pass up. Makes it a little bit easier for me to spot that opportunity too, but it makes, you got to be aware, right? Aware of how you're reacting to it, aware of even the opportunity as it is. Right.
Yeah. And there are techniques that Lead Without Blame also has an aspect to it for leaders to have that kind of self-awareness, know what's kind of scaring you a little bit, what isn't scaring you a little bit,
what you're avoiding, what you're not, right?
All of those things. And years ago in my career, in my practice, probably 20, maybe more than 20 years ago, I had a great mentor who counseled me at some point when I was angsting about something or other. She just said, feel the fear and do it anyway. Right? Just walk toward it, because walking toward it actually helps to take some of the fear of that change away. It's like, okay, we're going to take the next step and the next step and adapt. Now Agile, we talk about adaptive planning, but it was really the same concept. It was like, figure out your next step, and then you can figure out the step after that, and then the decision after that, and make each one in its time as it comes up, and protect your people that way. If you're in a leadership role, protect yourself that way, but keep moving. It's the it's the sharks.
Well, we just did a set last month was about momentum and stuff. I also like to add to that. I'm going to yes and that, because it's one of the things that I look to when I'm trying to go and when it's opportunities change is that fear makes me often think of all the risks and the issues and the discomfort, right? But I do have to be intentional about looking at it as the opportunity to change and the upside, right? The possibilities, the what doors does this open? What new knowledge does this provide? And I have to be a little intentional about that at times. Otherwise, I can miss an opportunity, because there'll be people I've seen this. I've had somebody like, well, I can't take a lateral move. I can't do a lateral career move. And I was like, first of all, I don't know really what lateral means, because nobody's job titles translate across organizations. And even in the same organization, you're taking a lateral title band, but it's not necessarily a lateral move, right? And reassessing that, it's like, well, what does this might get you a whole new connection of people. This might get you a new content knowledge. Maybe you're going into like cybersecurity or something you don't or AI or something you weren't as familiar with before. Maybe it opens it up into different times of the day, hours of flexibility and things. And so I think there's a lot of times that we pass up on opportunities because we don't think of them as opportunities, or we don't see the full potential of the opportunity. Partially because we're, afraid of that first part of it. And we miss out on a lot of things. I think a lot of majority, many of my quote unquote biggest opportunities have come from something that people would have been, I can't believe you're doing that. Like, I can't believe you're leaving an executive role at a company you love, and the team, is like, yes. And now this has opened up all of this for me in different ways. And so it is leaning into it and keeping that momentum, but also seeking out what's the other potential opportunities in it.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm, this is an interesting conversation. And I, you and I, this conference season is coming up, and we're going to be meeting new people. And I would really invite those folks to come up and initiate some conversations about leadership and change, and how, what have you struggled with around change? Where have you had your successes around change? I love hearing those stories, because I think we learn in spite of the fact of conventional wisdom, I think we can learn as much from our successes as we do from our failures or our setbacks. If we stop to learn from them, if we take the time to learn from them, we learn the things, the conditions that we want to try to recreate and things like that. So, I really hope people will come up and talk to us at the various places where we land. And I'm kind of sad that we're both missing the Scrum gathering in Munich this year.
I know, it was just this last weekend. I was totally fine until everybody started posting comments and photos, and I was like, "Boo! I'm not there."
My life is not in a good place.
Today, we did get a question, so I want to put this question up. And hi, Bonnie. Thanks for listening in. All true, but sometimes I feel like I'm going in a million directions. So how do you know when and where to say okay and take that risk? I wish you just wanted us to end this conversation with an "it depends," didn't you?
And a hard question. Give us a challenge.
So if I go back to your bucket metaphors a little bit, is I do a trade-off, right? Like pros, cons kinds of things. Like, what's the gains, potential gains versus the potential risks of it. But if I'm really honest, I usually know what ones I'm saying yes to just out of a sense of obligation versus excitement, and which challenges I'm really going to invest in. And Diana always asks me, I'm going to highlight this, but it's one of the favorite things that I ever learned when she talks about retros. And when you're making the decision at the end of retros, one of the questions she'll ask, and I'm talking about you as if you're not right here, but one of the questions you always ask, and it's always stuck with me, is, when you're making your choice, where do you have energy for? Not even just where do you want to invest your energy. It's like, what do you have energy for? Which really makes you immediately think, do I want to do this or not? Right? Like, it's not even making a commitment of how much energy and things like that. It's just like, right now, what do I have energy to say yes to? And if you don't have energy for it, then that's probably the time to say no, in my opinion, with it, because you're not going to do a very good job. You're not going to get all the opportunity out of it anyways. And the truth is, we all can only do so much. You're human.
Right. And I do think, to Bonnie's point, I do think there are times when we're kind of spoiled for choice. We've got so many good things coming toward us. And I think, looking for, where's our heart drawing us? Where does our energy want to go? Where do we feel more enthusiastic? I mean, I think that's really great. A great answer too. But also, sometimes we just have to say, I'm in a really complex situation here. There's lots of different directions I could go. Pick one. Pick the one that just sort of seems the most attractive. Pick one that, but don't commit for the long term.
Yeah.
Give it a chance to make it an experiment. I'm gonna do this for this amount of time. I'm gonna meet with these people, then see how I feel. Take baby steps, and with maybe 2 or 3 options, and then I suspect the answer of the one you really want to go for will come apparent to you.
And for the situations where the tip that I mentioned where it feels too good to pass up, like I actually referenced being on the Agile Alliance program. The first time I was asked, I did say no because I had too much going on. I was running things. I was doing too many other things. I just, as wonderful as that opportunity was, I didn't have the bandwidth and I didn't want to do something that I wasn't going to be able to invest in and do that. Yeah. And you know what? When it was a really good opportunity, it came back around again. And that doesn't always happen. And I would have been okay with my first choice, but I'm also careful now to not, there's one thing to say the stars are aligning, and it's another thing to tell yourself it will never be an opportunity again. Like it very well could be. And in my case, it was. So be careful about those kind of narratives with things.
Right. And Bonnie, the first part of your last sentence, that you are out of energy, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're taking time for recharging. That is probably the most.
That is the opportunity.
Yeah, that is the opportunity, because that will give you clarity. So, to the extent that you can make that happen in your life, carve out some time for friends, to hang out with friends, or just go sit and stare at a tree, whatever works for you. Recharge, get some energy back. And sometimes you have to talk to a coach or a shrink, or whomever, friends, parents. I was lucky I had a mom that I really liked to talk about stuff like that with, and that was really helpful. Now it's my daughter. So anyway, Bonnie, I really want you to take care of yourself.
So you mentioned you're going to be in Europe for the, where can people find you for the next 8 weeks or so?
Okay. Well, I am going to be at the XP conference, XP 2025 in Switzerland. It's in a town called Bruvendisch. It's sponsored by the university there. And that's the 2nd or 3rd through the 6th of June. And then I'm going to be, this is a full event, so no one can join me except the people who are already registered. But if you're already registered, I'll be happy to see you at the Retrospective Facilitators Gathering in Austria. And then I'm going to be doing 3 one-day workshops in Vienna. And if you're interested in that, sign up for my newsletter or get in touch with me directly, and I can give you all the information about how to find that. And I've got a coach camp I'm going to, the German coach camp, and then the Agile World Conference in Munich, which is July 7th and 8th, and the Socrates Conference, which I've heard so many wonderful things about, and I've never been, so I'm excited about that this year. And that's July 17th, 18th, 19th, something like that. And then I'll be heading back to the US and Denver and going to Mile High Agile and Agile 2025 and the Coach Camp Worldwide that will be also in Denver. So I've got a busy summer ahead.
Yes,
but I do have some gaps in my schedule. So if you would like, while I'm in Europe, if you would like me to come visit your company or have a cup of coffee together or whatever, get in touch with me and we'll see if we can work out some dates to get together.
Perfect. So what do I have coming up? Well, first I have my youngest is graduating from high school, so I'm very excited. And we're almost empty nesters. And I know the proper reaction to that is like, no, and I'm like, nope, I'm super excited. But I am headed to Budapest at the end of this month for Craft, where I'll be one of the keynotes for a Craft conference this year. I'm super excited. It was a wonderful conference that I went to last year, and I can't wait to be back. So I'll be there.
Beautiful city.
Oh, it's beautiful. City. And they do a really good job at that conference. Like it's just it makes my tech heart happy.
Yeah.
Is what that conference does. And then I have a little bit of a break in terms of I have just 2 mini little workshops virtually, one on conflict, one on change, things like that available. But then I will be helping run the Mile High Agile. Tickets are now available to register for that. We have announced our speakers. We have announced our keynote. So things are moving. Sponsors, there are I think 2 more spots available for sponsorship. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And then Agile Alliance Conference, where I'm the Tuesday keynote. So I'm like, I think I'm actually nervous.
Yeah, that is the keynote that I over all time have been the most nervous about when I did it for Agile Alliance.
I think I'm nervous, which is amazing. And not that I don't appreciate and love all of it, but there's definitely some kind of full circle feeling that's happening for me for the Agile Alliance, considering that was the first main conference and all, one of the things that the organization that I just have supported so much over the years and things and just adore and gratitude for. But I did miss one thing that I'm still doing in May, and it's in person. I get to do an in-person change and collaboration class in Michigan. So I think there's still a couple spots available for that. So I'm squeezing that in between Budapest and my graduation.
Nice.
But very limited public availability in terms of classes, but there's a couple of them. So just check out my website or get in touch with me with it.
And I want to say one more thing. I know summertime goes by really fast, and I really value this conference I'm going to go to in September, which is Agile Prague. And they are posting on LinkedIn already. They're really starting. The registration is open. I think Prague is going to be fabulous. I've heard such great things about this conference, and I'm very excited about going to that one too. So if you're in the area, check it out.
Perfect. We are going to take a break with the schedules that we have. We are going to take June off and come back on July 3rd with our next live. Okay. So if you have questions, requests, or anything, just let us know. Otherwise, see you in a month. See you in 2 months, I guess. Bye.